They want the brew places. They want the coffee shops. They want to have streets to exercise and walk around. We've become too sedentary in our ways, where life is designed so you never have to walk. It's called, quote, the no walkers zone. And one of the things we're finding is that obesity rates are twice as high in the suburbs where we live because the streets aren't designed for that. Whereas they're 1/2 the amount in, say, the downtown areas. And I love that quote. Paul Goodman, in 1959, a man has only one life, and during it he has no great environment, no community. Has been irreparably robbed of human. And I love, absolutely adore where I live in the Highlands. It's a fantastic place. I would love New Albany a lot more. 4 years ago, I don't know who it was, but several neighborhood activists came to me and said, we want to convince the City Hall to hire you to work for you. And we did a little work and so on, but I think that New Albany, downtown, is a very lovable place. But again, and I have some friends that live in New Albany, but it's still, even for them, and they live in the suburban hills and so on, it's hard for them to navigate and get around downtown New Albany. There's another restaurant that just opened up and it has they make beer in the basement, so I don't know if that's your place you're talking about. It was very hard to get there. We're trying to find Wicks and so on for music and so on. But you want to make it so it's navigable, and you don't have a great traffic rush. And you don't need to keep these one-way streets, these multi-lane one-way streets available so the trucking industry, I think that's the, sometimes you've got to be grateful for your enemy, for who they are. It's absolutely absurd to argue that trucks, 16-wheelers, who are carrying chemicals, need to go as fast as they can through New Albany to get onto the freeway. When is the chemical spill going to hit? And the chlorine and the ammonia and who knows what is going to tip over, and you're going to be able to close down New Albany and people are gagging and choking. You want to make it in a way, the streets slower, and maybe encourage these big trucks, these 16-wheelers, to get off the surface streets and onto the freeway and go somewhere else with their trucking business. And of course, I love this. This is from New Albany, and it's everywhere now around the world, this slide. Who did this slide? Oh, there you are. There you are. Okay. And I love it. I stole it. It's in my office now. Sue me if you will. But it was just like, it's so cool. It's actually, we use this in the magazine article, in the journal article we did too. So thank you. Very cool. And you got that all from me, right? Didn't you? Okay. Looking for a great planning school, University of Louisville. Tons of relationships, and we're doing all kinds of great things. We're ranked number 23. Josh is a student there. You know, what I'm all about, I just wrote a letter to the president, and I said, what I'm all about is we in the university and our output should be like, how do we make cities great? You know, you don't have to be big and ugly to be great. You can be small like Charleston or Santa Barbara or like New Albany. And I think that New Albany has this wonderful opportunity to renew its downtown, to get people to come there, to get young people to go down there, for entrepreneurship opportunities, and all that wonderful historic housing stock and building stock and so on, which begs people and so on. But the one trick is that. Now, it won't solve all the problems and so on. And I've talked about this before, the 10 commandments of urban regeneration, which is another talk that maybe you'll have to back to, but the 10 commandments: convert the streets from one way to two-way. Okay? Build community gardens. We're building them in the Highlands on churches and so on, growing vegetables and so on. Support small business people. Support their dreams. Get businesses going and so on. 4, historic preservation. Indiana does that well. They're a master. They've done some great things. don't demolish these buildings. They're having a demolition derby in Louisville. It's losing its character, its face, its personality, its human touch. It's a horrible thing. And they have this monstrosity that they're building with these hotel operators who say, move this and, kill it all. People are attracted. We recently did a study where we said, what are the 10 most popular restaurants in Louisville? 9 out of 10 are in old buildings, old structures. They provide opportunity. So it's good for business, okay? The same thing about housing. I don't believe these builders who run around saying that it costs as much to rehab or renovate as it does to build new. That's simply false. And I'm an investor. I do the labor myself. And when you see a big old house with its wonderful attic and its wonderful basement and its wonderful garage, there's so much more opportunity to do that. And we've converted and made quite a bit of money converting these homes into and creating more space and more opportunity for people. We talked about trees as very important. We talked about university involvement and providing a sort of a defender of the people in terms of giving actual data and facts and information to empower you, Republican and Democrat and independent alike, to do the right thing for building community. Because this is where Paul Goodman is so right. Having a neighborhood, having a community is a human right. And that's where I'm at. And I say these simple things, these very clear things, these very things that Jane Jacobs, who was not an architect or a planner, she's a housewife. And she figured it out by just being on the street. You can do the same thing here. So I appreciate you all. Thank you very much. Sustained applause. Man in the blue. Yes. And say it loud so the photographer from NBC News can.
Did you happen to look at the one-way versus the two-way houses that were a single-family home ownership versus the rental property like slum? Which I think I know what the answer is, but like on the one-way streets, are there more rental properties versus?
Yeah, there's a lot more rental properties on the multi-lane one-way streets and so on. I should add too, I didn't put this in here, which was I called the clincher to my argument that I just made, okay? And the clincher is that we know that these are micro studies. These are small neighborhoods where they converted it and so on, and maybe it was neighborhood activists that made it happen as well. But we also collected and identified 22 neighborhoods where there was a substantial amount of multi-lane one-way streets versus neighborhoods that didn't have any multi-lane one-way streets. And in Louisville, it's 22 versus 167 going on with the nice livable things. And the differences between those 22 neighborhoods versus the hundreds, it's crazy. Higher crime, lower property valuation, higher foreclosure rates, higher demolition rates, higher medical costs, higher police costs in terms of going there and investigating it. We got this whole thing about police and the cost of going to an accident, how much it costs, the cost of picking someone up in an ambulance, the cost of the city and so on because of this. And so we've heard rumblings that the mayor, if I would shut up about this, and he could say it was his idea to convert it to a two-way street, that we could start seeing some activity in West Louisville where it's badly needed and so on.
In Louisville, not New Orleans?
Yeah, this is Louisville. So, always share the credit. Always share the credit. That's what I learned. So you're definitely right. There's more rental housing there, and it creates blight.
Right.
It's a blight. And I'm not saying it's the only source of it. There's income inequality, there's joblessness, and so on. But the poor are going to be attracted to these streets where there's one-way streets. And people are fighting an uphill battle. But we can do a lot of great things and have a wonderful neighborhood of mixed incomes like I do in the Highlands. We have 5 shelters there, 5 shelters, one for alcoholics, schizophrenics, youth shelter, and so on. We can get along fine as long as it's small scale and it works together. I rent out half of my Victorian out to you know, a moderate income family and so on. And it's very pleasant. They help pay for the mortgage and so on. So all that. Yes, sir.
Who are these geniuses that are standing and opposed to one of the top 100 thinkers in the world, or one of the top 50 planners of the world, the Jeff Specks and the John Gilderblooms? Because I'm having a real hard time finding any of the research of these acknowledged experts in their field mitigating against the two-way streets, the reversion. I know conversion comes trippingly off the tongue, but we need to revert to what they were by original design. Who are these people that are stopping it?
Well, I think about that a lot. And I thank you for the compliment. A lot of it is, I just think that it's hatred to the city, hatred of cities. It's a Henry Ford thing about the idea of designing cities to get people out, so they'll drive in their cars and drive far away, and the suburban ideal, the white picket fence, and so on and so forth. But one of the things that's not shown up here is that the suburbs are far worse shape right now. They have the lowest percentage increase in Louisville. The 190 neighborhoods we looked at, the 10 neighborhoods with the worst percentage increase in housing, or reverse increases, is all located in the suburbs where it's not walkable, thank you, Jeff Speck, where it's not bikeable, there's no stores, there's nothing to walk to. Obesity rates are very high, versus the downtown areas, whether black or white, and the historic preservation districts are doing very well. The 10 highest neighborhoods with, in terms of percentage increase, are in the downtown neighborhoods. And it's not just New York, Chicago, and San Francisco where this is happening. It's happening in Phoenix, Atlanta, Louisville, Cincinnati is big time. I don't know if you've been to Cincinnati lately, but oh, that is just booming downtown.
But who are the experts that our opponents are consulting with?
I think that they're free enterprise, market-oriented. I think a lot of it's a theory.
So am I. I've got a free enterprise, market-oriented business that suffers on a multi-lane, one-way street.
I don't know who they are. I mean, see, when you empirically test it, you know, I got in this business in 1976. I was a young undergraduate. I studied with about growth, about the impacts of growth, and what happens when you become a Las Vegas, and what happens when neighborhoods are torn up by casinos and so on, some of the negative effects about this. But now we're looking at the green effects. One of the things we're finding with our research, when you go green, and I think converting from one-way to two-way is going green, encouraging bicycling and so on, encouraging more trees and so on, is that your prosperity and unemployment rates are reduced. We looked at 148 cities in the United States, medium size, including Louisville region, which includes you folks. Unemployment rates here in this area are much higher because we don't have green policies like they do in Portland and so on. And the young people are flocking to these cities. We found that, for example, black incomes, where they keep saying that blacks suffer from environmentalism, their annual incomes are actually $6,000 higher in the cities with green policies, and going with regulation, protecting us against pollutants and so on, water, air, and so on. And of course, one of the more dangerous things is, we talked about this, is that in this research strategy I'm doing, is that the death rates in West Louisville, where they have the plastics industry, this toxic soup and everything like that, we're finding that there's a reduction. If you live near these plants, you live 10 years less. 10 years less because of these problems that exist. So I think it's a theory of engineers, but it's never been tested. And we tested it, and that's why it's on the best planning journal in the world, International Journal of Urban educational research. We're very, it's very good. Yes?
What are some examples of smaller cities that the size of Albany, 35,000, where they've done the two-way conversion?
Charleston, South Carolina, big time.
That's not bigger than Albany.
Fort Lauderdale has done this. They're trying to do it in Covington. They're trying to in Kentucky. They're trying to do it in Newport, but they're fighting. And in Lexington, there's another example of a mayor who ran on the platform to convert the streets from one-way to two-way. In Lexington, it's horrible. If you're going to a basketball game or something like that, it's like, it's a freeway. They built a freeway. It's insane. It's crazy. But they're struggling against these state engineers, these old farts, who don't want to change, who don't like change and so on. And they don't understand vibrancy and how that happens. So I have other cities, and so, if you do, I'll tell you what, if you do a Google search, you put my name on it, Gilderbloom, one way, you'll see that I'm cited in hundreds of cities right now. I would get a media call every week now. And that's one way, or just the one-way movement. So it is a social movement. But you folks are the pioneers. You're ahead of Louisville. We're sort of dragging the mayor here along. So.
Isn't Great Falls one?
Yes.
And Vancouver, Washington one that just
Yes.
fits the new Albany model?
Yes.
Even though they're not in metro areas, they are independent.
Yeah. Green Bay, Wisconsin, Saskatchewan. Yes.
Serious question. So is it?
Get a picture of that. What's your name, sir? And what are you running for?
Roger. Is it reasonable?
What's your restaurant called?
New Albany. So is it reasonable to say that if a city is spending money on various renewal projects, and these expenditures are going on, and maybe they're more piecemeal, maybe they're more organized, but there are expenditures going on to stabilize a neighborhood, to support. Well, we really don't do that. We support independent small business, but just assume these things are going on. And if that same community then is leaving the one-way street network like we have here in place, is it fair to say that they are, to some extent, working at cross purposes, contradicting one expenditure by doing nothing on the street? Does that not reduce the value of the investment that they're trying to make in improvements when the one-way street just keeps the property value lower?
Yeah.
So if you're engaged in something like a TIF bond with the idea that you're going to increase the property values in order to make the bond worthwhile, but you still have a one-way street running through the middle of it, you're kind of contradicting things.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Well, let's talk about New Albany without Roger. Okay. I've lived here for 27 years. And I went to this delightful I don't even know if it's your restaurant. They have food on the top, and then they have all these big.
Yeah, that wasn't us. We don't.
Do you know who that might be? It's close to.
Think about the winery.
Yeah, the winery.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's
that's
not
the
me.
big
It's
vats.
the beer place around the corner.
Okay, big vats. And we all decided to go down there. I said, I'm the downtown guy. Let's go and so on and see if there's anything. And it was a great place to eat. It was a wonderful place. And but it was hard to get there. It was inconvenient. It was difficult. And and people get. You could do a study of it, but I'm sure that the business prosperity model would increase dramatically. I'm really scared about the future of downtown Louisville in many ways. The downtown business core, not a friendly place. You still have Market and Main Street. Have you ever had to jog across? There's that car coming like this. Even the company that did the one-way street study or the street study said the first thing is he had to huff and puff over to the mayor's office, and he said he had this statement. He said he was talking to the mayor, and the mayor said, "So what should we do with our streets? You're the guy. We're paying you $1 million." And he says, "Convert all these streets to two-way." And the mayor said, apparently, he says, "No, we can't do that. Find some sort of compromise." You know, but downtown Louisville would be a great place. They keep talking about Nulu and how great it is. You've heard that, the hype on that, right? Who are these people? They're saying it. They don't even live there. I can't imagine when I'm driving along Market Street at night, having a wife or a loved one or a son walking, parking